morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Jaswant, and I'm your co-host for today. This is the very first session in the Virtuoso Mastery Enablement series, which we have come up, which is starting from this month and is will be a monthly enablement session series on Virtuoso Mastery, which is going to be happening every month till the month of December this year. Uh, Joining with me today, we have Abhijit Yadav, who works as a team lead partner enablement, and this session is going to be on test authoring using natural language programming. If you don't know Abhijit Yadav, he has been a community star for quite a long time. If you follow him on LinkedIn, you already know about his background. He has a very great background on test automation. He has worked with service-based organizations as well as product-based organizations, test automation product-based organizations in the past, and currently he is leading a team of part-time managers at Virtuoso. So welcome Abhijit, and just before I hand it over to Abhijit for taking over this session, I'd like to quickly let you know about the housekeeping rules. So I think you know that there is a Q&A box in the Zoom webinars panel there. I'll request you to drop your questions which are relevant to the current session. If you know want to know about Virtuoso and you want to ask any questions related to the current session, I'll request you to please put those questions in the Q&A box. And if you have any questions that you think will not make a lot of sense by typing in, and if you want to speak and ask your questions to Abhijit or me or panelists, please do feel free to raise your hands. As and when we find time, we take a break in the session. It's a 1 hour session, so there will be not many breaks, but some pauses. So we'll take your questions verbally also if time permits us. So with that, I'll quickly now hand it over to our esteemed guest, our esteemed speaker, Abhijit Yadav, for taking this session. Over to you, Abhijit.
Thank you, Justin. Hello and welcome everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all the participants joining us from various regions. So thanks for the introduction, Justin. Let me now share my screen so that we can get started with the presentation.
Sure.
So I hope my screen is visible. Can someone from the panelists please confirm?
Yes, it is.
Cool. Thank you. So hello once again. The agenda for the day would be I'll be introducing you to Virtuoso by giving you a quick overview about this SaaS-based AI-powered test automation tool. Then I'll speak about how you can author tests using natural language programming. Then we'll cover how you can use the live authoring feature of Virtuoso while authoring your test using the NLP syntaxes, and so that you can get faster feedback immediately. Then we'll do a quick demonstration on building end-to-end tests in Virtuoso. We'll see how we can build these end-to-end tests and execute them in Virtuoso. And then we'll analyze the execution and see what are the various components, what are the various uh, sections that we can browse, and what are the various options that we have in Virtuoso after the tests are executed to analyze the success and failures as well. And followed by that would be an overview of the AI-powered automation capabilities that Virtuoso possess. So we'll speak briefly about that as well. So that would be a brief agenda about today's session. So without further ado, let's get started. So to introduce Virtuoso to those who are new to this tool, or those who haven't heard about Virtuoso, it is a SaaS-based test automation platform, specially designed for the web applications and API applications. Now, this application is a low-code test automation tool. With low code, what we mean is you barely have to write a piece of code in order to write the test steps and in order to automate your tests. It supports NLP syntaxes, which means you can write or get started with your test automation by simply writing the test steps using simple English plain language. We'll quickly see how we can create test steps within a few seconds just by writing plain English text, and that would be uh, interpreted by Virtuoso, and at the same time it will design the test and also execute this test in the preview for us to get the feedback how the automated test step works. So this is This is why we call it as low code. But in cases where we need to extend its capabilities, Virtuoso also supports writing extensions in JavaScript. So you can extend its capabilities and write these extensions for a few edge cases and few use cases that are not by default supported by the out of the box capabilities. Next is the self-healing capability. Now, test automation maintenance is one of the most serious tasks with the test automation solutions because you can create these tests, but it's way more harder to maintain with some platforms uh, when it comes to maintenance. And with some platforms or with code-based solutions, people or the teams generally fall into the maintenance traps after building or creating the test repositories. With Virtuoso, you have the self-healing capability, and what it does is it automatically fixes the test steps which are broken during the runtime. So, for example, if there is a login button and it has been changed to sign up button, so obviously there would have been some code change that might have been done by the developer in the backend. So at the runtime, when during the test creation, when you had created the automated test step with the login button, and now you are executing the same test without knowing that the login button has been changed to sign up button. So what Virtuoso would do is it since it has these selectors and its things stored in the technical details, Virtuoso will automatically interpret at this as the same control and try to hail it because this is the actual target control that we need to interact with. Now, you get an option to correct or approve or deny these self-healings, but this is how the self-healing works in Virtue. So we'll see this in the demo as well. Next is the AI assistance. So there are various AI features that are available within Virtuoso from generating automatic test data to generating journey summaries to writing or generating the failure analysis reasons or to creating extensions to extend Virtuoso's capabilities. You have these covered within AI capabilities of Virtuoso. So we have a test data section where you can create the test data tables, and with the AI powered assistance, you can generate these test data automatically as well. We'll see how this works in a short demo as well. Then we have the end-to-end testing capabilities. You can automate the end-to-end UI test, also include API tests within a single journey. We call a test case as journey in Virtuoso, which we'll soon see in the demonstration. But that is where we generally create the end-to-end tests. Then we have the cross-browser testing. You generate your test cases in the Virtuoso browser in an AWS environment. We'll see this in the demo. And what you can do is you can execute these tests across various operating systems and various devices. So be it the mobile device or Mac OS or an Apple device, you can execute the same journey across various devices. That is what we call cross-browser testing in Virtuoso. Next is we can test earlier by shifting left. So we have something called as the requirement section, which allows you to import your Gherkin syntaxes. And once you have done that, you can basically have a template of your end-to-end test, and you can start building your test by simply writing the NLP syntaxes and start executing them whenever the application is ready. So this is also available in Virtuoso that allows your testing initiatives to be shifted left or even before the development has started for the application. Now, this is the hierarchy just to set the context. So in Virtuoso, we have something called as organization, which would now, since Virtuoso is a SaaS-based platform, if you are a customer or a partner, you would generally have an organization for you. And this is where you will create all your repositories for your projects. And this is where everything is stored. Then an organization can contain multiple projects. Now, these are containers for your goals and journeys, and an organization can contain multiple projects. Ideally, these would be for different applications or different uh, type of applications. Maybe you may have one application for Salesforce, one for API, one for web-based. So all these can be a different project in Virtuoso. Next level is the goal level. Within a project, you can have multiple goals. Ideally, you would be creating goals for each module of your application. or based on the set of use cases within your application. Next is the journey. Now each goal contains journey. We call test cases as journey. You can interpret end-to-end test cases as journeys in Virtuoso. Within the goal, you can have n number of test cases, which would be called as journeys. And within the journey, you can have the test step folders, which we call as checkpoints. Okay, so a set of test steps would be residing in the checkpoint, and these are the reusable components as well. We'll see how we can reuse these set of test steps by converting them into reusable checkpoints. Within the checkpoints, we have test steps, which are individual steps, which are the executable level steps that gets actually executed when you execute the overall journey. So this is the hierarchy. Let us see this in Virtuoso as well. For those who are new to Virtuoso, this is how a tenant workspace looks like in Virtuoso. Like I said, it is a SaaS-based platform, so you can access this using the URL that you would receive for your organization. And this organization contains these many projects. So we can see this is the organization, and these are the various tabs within the organization. First one is the projects that contains the list of projects that this particular organization contains. Then we can see the usage, how the usage has been of Virtuoso. This basically reflects the number of executions that you have done in the given number of days or given period of time. So this is where you can track your usage of the product. Then we have the members tab. I won't be displaying this for uh, various reasons. So this is where you can manage your users. You can give them read, write, or manage access. You can give them uh, owner access. You can manage the overall organization as well. But this is where all your members would reside. And this is the section from where you can invite your team members to join various projects. Next is the team. Again, you can create team of people in order to assign dedicated projects to them. And so that there is a level of separation also created within the overall organization. Now there is a section called as bridge. Bridge is something uh, now Virtuoso it is ideally designed for web-based uh, test automation and API test automation. Now by default, Virtuoso supports test automation of publicly available websites. And in case you wish to test the applications that are residing in the public network, in the private network. So in those cases, there is a small step. There is a very small configuration that is required in order to establish a bridge connection, so that Virtuoso can connect to the application under test that resides in your private network, and it can access the application. And also the other users who are not in the private network can also access the application under test, leveraging the bridge that we have created within the private network. Next is various applications that we have that can be integrated with Virtuoso. So there are various applications including Jira or TestRail, Slack, and reporting, and also flows. We'll speak about these applications in our subsequent sessions of these webinar series. But this is an overall overview of the organization level. Now, in the projects, if you go back to the hierarchy, we can see that there are several projects. If I open a single project, I can see multiple goals within that project. Now, these goals, as I mentioned earlier, would be created for module level of your application that you want to automate. And within this goal, you can have test cases, which would be called as journeys. So this would be called as first, maybe and this goal, assuming it is an API application or just a random number. So now these can be interpreted as two end-to-end test cases. When you open these journeys, you can see these checkpoints, and within these checkpoints, you will see the test steps. So this is how the overall structure or hierarchy of Virtuoso looks like. Next, going back to the presentation, now let me speak about test authoring using natural language programming. So Virtuoso allows the automation of tests using simple or plain English language. As you can see in the GIF, that how you can simply write the commands and automatically Virtuoso will create the automated test steps. In this case, what we are trying to do is we are trying to click on a button called book a demo. And just by writing click on and in the brackets the name of the control, which would act as a hint for Virtuoso. And based on this hint that we have provided, Virtuoso will try to find the element on the current screen and click on that button and interact with that button. So this is what is called test authoring using natural language programming. As you can see, it is using simple plain English language to write the test steps without writing any piece of code or without having or spending time on identifying the elements manually. Now, as you can see, the test steps are created in seconds, and there are n number of out-of-the-box NLP syntaxes which can be found in the documentation. So from navigating to a URL, to clicking an element, to writing some text into an input field, to selecting the option from a drop-down, to waiting for an element for a fixed amount of time or dynamically waiting for the element, to mouse actions like mouse over, mouse scroll up, mouse scroll down, or to storing a value in a variable in order to verify that value in a subsequent step with some other control, to switching the iframes. There are several NLP syntaxes that are available by default, which can be leveraged for creating the automated test steps. And for verification purpose, we do have the assertions available. So that these assertions allow us to assert or look for various controls or verify their uh, text or verify their properties based on the requirement. Next, now these NLP syntaxes works for both UI and the API application. So you can write the automated test steps using NLP syntaxes for UI as well as API. So for a quick demo, let me show in Virtuoso. So this is a goal. Let me create a new journey. So let me get. So I'll start with the new project. Now I can create a new project and call this as, and as soon as I create this project, I am within the project dashboard section where I can see the overview of the project, the requirements, tags, and various other tabs, which would be covered in the subsequent sections. First thing that we need to do in order to proceed with the automation, we can start by creating the first goal. And here, in order to create a new goal, it means we would need the URL of the application that we would be automating. So, and the name of the goal. In this case, we do have a Rocket Shop application that is a demo application, which is an e-commerce application, which we will be using for this demonstration. So I'll name this goal as shop end-to-end tests, and I'll give the starting URL, which is the first, which is the homepage of this Rocket Shop application. I do have various configuring options, but this would be skipped at the moment. These would be covered in the subsequent sessions of these webinars. So I request all the participants to stay tuned and register for the upcoming webinars as well. Let me click on add and create first journey. This will automatically create the first journey, not just the first journey, but also a checkpoint automatically that by default has the test step to navigate to the URL that we have provided. So by default, all the journeys within your goal will have this mandatory first step, and this will navigate to the URL that we have mentioned. Okay. And over here, we have an interactive preview, which when clicked, we can see the actual interaction or actual live view or live preview of the application that we just opened. Now, this screen that you see resides in the AWS servers. This is not an actual machine. This is happening on a cloud machine. And the execution happens on the Virtuoso headless browser, which is a Virtuoso Chrome browser, specially designed for test executing the Virtuoso test that we write over here. So basically, we are using the Virtuoso tenant using the URL, since it is a SaaS product, and We are authoring the test in our organization, but the actual execution or the actual live preview is happening on a cloud machine. Now you can see that this is an interactive window. I can interact to the screen, and I can also do some manual interaction with it. Yeah. And not just manual interaction, but in case I add a new checkpoint. So if I write a step now, you will also see a live demonstration of how the uh, NLP automation works. So let me write something in the search button. So I'll ask Virtuoso to write test. Now do notice that anything that needs to be written is in the codes, and then the place or the target element also needs to be written in double quotes. And only then you will notice that the save button would be turned green. Otherwise, if there is a syntax error, it will be still in a gray color. So as soon as we write the correct NLP syntax, we'll get this option to save this syntax. And as soon as we save this, Virtuoso will automatically execute this as well in the live preview, as you can see, for getting the real time and live preview of the actual execution happening. So this helps the test automation engineers to get the real time feedback of the test steps that they're automating without having to wait for writing the entire script and then execute and then debug what has happened and what worked correctly and what went wrong. So this is the benefit of natural language programming with the interactive preview. Now, not just this, we'll see there are other benefits as well for, of this interactive preview in the upcoming slides as well. So next is the benefits of real or live authoring in Virtuoso. As we saw that we do get real-time feedback while authoring the test steps that helps us to get identify whether we are authoring these test steps correctly or not. Then next is you can also create the test steps using the interaction preview directly. So this is basically create without having to write the NLP steps. You can automatically interact with this application and also create a step out of it. So in this case, let me do one thing. If whenever I do a right click on an element, I get this interaction menu where I have various options to either wait for this element. When I click on this, this will create a step over here to wait for this particular element. Then similarly, I do have other options to click on this element, store the details of this element in a variable, store the element text as a variable. Now the difference is the storing element details will store all the technical associated details of this control in a variable. With storing element text, it will store just the text that is visible to the human in a variable. Then we do have mouse actions to do a mouse over, mouse right click, mouse double click on this particular control. Then there is assertion as well in order to assert whether this element currently visible is equal to whatever value that we want to assert it against. So this is called interaction menu, and this is how we can also directly create the automated test step without even writing these NLP syntaxes. Next is the interaction preview. Now, like I said, we can also manually interact with this screen and we can do all the interaction to go back to a particular page or uh, do some interactions that are required in case required. So this is what the interaction menu looks like. Then we do have advanced mode and dev tools. Now, in cases where there are controls where the label is not available for a particular control, there are various options in order to identify or interact with those elements. In this case, this is a shopping bag. We do know that this is shopping bag and it's technical, but from a hint perspective, ideally when we wrote this step to write test in search, we had this search hint over here. That is how Virtuoso got to know that I need to interact with this button. But in this case, there is no label that is visible by default. It is present in the code or in the DOM structure, but from a visual perspective, there is not any. So what we can do is we can use the inspect element and hover and click on this element that we will need to interact with. And as soon as we now add a step to click, we will get this suggestion to click on the last picked element, which was picked using the inspect element tool. So as soon as I click this, and you will notice that a step will be created, and it will, upon execution, it will navigate to the shopping bag since it is clicking on the shopping bag. And now we are in the shopping bag in the live preview since it has been executed. Now this is the HTML structure. Now in order to, from best practices point of view, we can update it using the hint selector or the alias name so that this is readable and also easy to understand for the other team members. So that is done. And you can see that this is how easy it is to write these test steps and create the end-to-end test in Virtuoso. Now going back to the presentation, now it's time for automating an end-to-end test case. So we will see how we can quickly automate the Rocket Shop e-commerce application to uh, create a complete end-to-end use case. So we'll use the same journey. Let's use the same journey. And from a best practice point of view, let us update the journey name over here. So the journey name or the test case name should be what the journey is doing. So since this journey will do a purchase and a checkout, we'll call this journey as purchase and checkout. Then let me get rid of the first check, the sample checkpoint that I created. Now I'll start by creating a new checkpoint, and let me also go back to the home page. And this will be called as add products to bag. Okay. In this checkpoint, I'll add all these steps that would be required to add various products to bag. Now, in this case, you'll notice that there are several add to bags button. Okay. So, but these products are different. And since we use hint selectors mostly in order to steer or while writing the NLP syntaxes, we would generally click on add to bag. But since there are multiple add to bags, 6 to be specific, how would Virtuoso know that which button to click? In those cases, what you can do is you can ask Virtuoso to look for a particular product, okay, or a particular element, so that uh, Virtuoso's attention goes there, and then when you write a step to add the product to bag, then that particular product will be added to the bag and not any other because the recent attention of Virtuoso was on that product. So in this case, let me do one thing. I'll write look for comic integration, which is the third product over here. And when we do so, and then let us run from beginning. So when we do so, we can simply see that whenever we click on the step, the live interaction preview gets closed and the step detail window gets opened. Over here, we can edit the step. Okay, we can modify whether this step needs to be run, needs to be executed always or conditionally on some conditional basis. We can update the name of the element over here. We can update its technical associated details, which is the selectors. Then there is a screenshot tab, which will allow us to see the before element interaction screenshot that will indicate the element that Virtuoso is targeting. In this case, Virtuoso will target this element because this is what we asked Virtuoso to do, is basically look for this element. And since there was no interaction, the after interaction screenshot would still remain the same. Had it been a click on commit integration button test step. In this case, this would be highlighting, this would have highlighted this button, and the after screenshot or after interaction screenshot would have highlighted the next page that appears after clicking on commit integration. So this is how you can debug the test step executions. Okay. And over here we have a step timeline that displays the history of the changes made for this step. Okay. Now, having said that, let us now add this product to bag. I'll simply right click, add to bag, and this will add the commit integration to bag. And as you can see in the live preview, this product got added to the bag. So in the interest of time, we'll just add a single product, and let's now create another checkpoint. Now, in case you have, if you would wish to add multiple steps, ideally you would be creating all those steps within the same checkpoint, since this is for adding all the products to the bag. But since my next step is associated with the checkout process, from a best practice point of view and from a structural point of view, it is good to create a new checkpoint rather than to write all the steps in a single checkpoint. Let me create a new checkpoint to do the checkout process. And here onwards, I'll write all the steps that would be required to do the checkout process. So to get started, I first need to navigate to the shopping bag. So I can simply right click on this and create an automatic step by selecting click on this element. And within a second, the step would be created, and I can quickly update this to. And there is an alternate way as well, which is the advanced mode. This is how you can also debug or use the dev tools in order to identify a particular control. In this case, now let me select the shopping bag. And here I can see that this is the shopping bag control. And let me just scroll a bit. That it is visible. And this is the details for this shopping bag. And similarly, if we select some other control, for example, profile, I can see this is the DOM structure for this control that I just selected. So what you can also do is, rather than directly writing the hints, you can also extract the IDs, values, or class names, or any other technical details from the DOM structure itself, and leverage it in the hints instead of writing the uh, XPaths, or instead of using the XPath that gets created. So in the interest of time, let me just quickly update this with the alias name, bag. Okay. And now we are in the shopping bag already. I'll close this advanced mode. And now I'll start writing the steps for the subsequent process. So next step is to go to the checkout page, where we click on go to checkout. And once in the checkout page, we'll fill these details. Let me fill the other details as well. And as you can see how fast the test step creation and the real-time feedback works in Virtuoso. As you can see the live preview of it, the execution of these steps on the right-hand side. So let's see, there are a few other fields on the top right. So these are the card number. And at the bottom, we can see we do have a button that we are supposed to click. Let's see. It's confirm and pay. We can write a step to click on confirm and pay. And this will complete the overall checkout process. You can see we have built the checkpoint for doing the checkout process. Now, in your test automation use cases, you would have several journeys or several test cases that would use some uh, set of steps that would be common across your journeys. So in these cases, it is from a best practice point of view and from a management point of view, it is always recommended to reuse the test steps rather than recreating them for all the journeys. So this is why we have a feature called as library checkpoints or reusable library checkpoints. So what you can do is you can convert a checkpoint into a checkpoint library. So when you add this checkpoint to a checkpoint library, this will become a reusable library checkpoint, which means in any other journey, if you wish to use same set of test steps, you can directly add these library checkpoints without writing these test steps in those journeys. Now, how to add this? Assuming this is a new journey without this checkpoint, you can click on this button, add library checkpoint. This will display all the library checkpoints within your organization. And by clicking on add, you will get this checkpoint will get added to the current journey automatically. And as soon as you create a library checkpoint, this gets logged so that you do not make changes, because any changes that you make to this library checkpoint will be reflected or will be updated in all other journeys that are using these library checkpoints unless you unlink them. Now let me delete this and detach this. So detaching this would make it the individual checkpoint, and this will no longer would be associated with the library checkpoint, and you can automatically update it, and this will not impact the library checkpoint. Now let me delete this. Okay, so that is the library checkpoint feature. Now let me run this from beginning since we did some updates and deletes. So the progress is lost over here. Let me run this from beginning and we can see the live execution happening of all the test steps along with the preview. And during the execution as well, we can see the screenshots, okay, of the 4 element interaction that it selected this button to add the product to bag since we had asked Virtuoso to look for format integration. And after interacting with this, so this got changed to add it to bag and we can see a slight update to this button. And this is when the screenshot was taken. Similarly, with the other steps, so we can see before interacting, this was the state of this control. And after interaction, it filled the zip code within this control. Let me close this. As a next step, what we'll do is we'll add another checkpoint to verify order invoice. Now, what we'll do is we'll store the total cart value from here. So let us do one thing. We can add this step over here to store this element text. Okay, so that we can verify this text in the invoice. Now, this particular step, what it will do is it will store the element text that was the total cart value in a variable, which will be called as dollar value, which is the variable name I gave. And as you can see in the side effects, all the variables, by the way, are displayed in the side effects or the test details tab. And over here, total value is a variable that got created containing the text of the element that I selected. Okay. Now I can use this variable to assert or verify in the subsequent steps. Next, we'll we'll download this PDF by clicking on download confirmation. And as soon as we click on this button called download confirmation, the PDF will be downloaded in the machine which is on the cloud. As I mentioned earlier, it is not downloaded in the local machine since we are using the SaaS platform, and this execution is happening on the AWS instance on a cloud machine. So when I click on this step, I can see in the side effects that the outcome of the download was successful. The original name of the file was invoice.pdf, and this is the place where the file got downloaded. If I click on this location, I can see that this is the file that got downloaded, and this is downloaded in the machine that we are executing the test. Now we can also open the PDF that just got downloaded and verify the content of the PDF by using an extension. So let me do one thing. I'll quickly add the steps in order to verify the PDF content by opening it. So similarly, I can also assert or verify the outcome. Okay. So by giving this variable name, which is last downloaded file details, then dot outcome. So I can assert whether the download was successful or not by writing this NLP syntax called assert dot outcome equals success. And as soon as I write the step, this will be executed. Let us see. It seems okay. There wouldn't be the element. Let me correct the step. Let me delete the incorrect step and execute this from beginning. Okay, let us execute this now. Oops, there is a typo. And here we go. So here we have verified whether the last downloaded file details dot outcome, which is the variable stored here that got created when we downloaded the PDF file. And this PDF file is downloaded in the browser itself, and we are interacting with the PDF file that got downloaded from the browser. So it had this value. So we use last downloaded file details dot outcome equals success. And this is how we asserted or verified this. Next, we'll add a step to open this PDF by using an extension. So we'll write a step to it's show PDF and file. And in the preview, we'll see the last and the downloaded file in displayed. This is the step. I guess for some reasons it is not getting displayed. Let me quickly execute this again. But let me also add a step to assert something. I'll add a step to look for value, which is basically £4 on the PDF file, since that is present on the PDF file. So let me run from beginning. There is a typo. Type this. It should be total value and not total. Let me correct this. And here you can see that show PDF displayed the PDF file, which is this in the browser. So, and let me delete the incorrect step quickly and re-execute it from beginning. And this time, let us keep the live preview open. Now, in case I did not mention this, all this execution is happening on a headless browser that is on the AWS instance. Let's see, it seems there is some. Okay, so you can see that the total value is storing 4 and then the pound sign. In this case, it's the other way around. So that is the reason the assertion did not happen successfully. But in case we want to assert something else, for example, so we can say look for a shop order receipt. So in this case, the execution or the step will assert whether this particular text is present on the screen or not. Now, this is how you can also assert or verify the PDF content in Virtuoso. And similarly, you can automate other web applications, and we'll also have subsequent sessions to show the various execution options that you have in Virtuoso, from parallel test execution to cross-browser testing to various other options for executing the test on other uh, screen dimensions. So you stay tuned for these upcoming webinars as well. We'll share more details about the next sessions shortly. And you can see this execution was successful and this got verified as well. And in order to assert or automate multiple tabs, what you can do is you can also write steps. This is just for an example. Let me add another checkpoint. In case you want to open second application on the same browser, so you can do navigate to .com in new tab, and this will open another tab over here with the URL that we just mentioned. Okay, so you can see 2 tabs currently visible, and similarly you can then go back to or switch to previous tab. This will bring you back to the previous tab after performing all the steps that you need to perform on the second application. So overall, that was it from the demonstration side. Let us go back to the presentation and speak about some AI-powered automation capabilities of Virtuoso. So Virtuoso, first of all, identified does the element identification using the ends in most of the cases. It also uses element selectors, that are the technical details, which is by default or automatically uh, captured by Virtuoso as soon as you write and finish publishing your test. So this is one of the key capabilities of Virtuoso. Then we have the AI test generator that allows you to automatically create the test data table based on the natural language request that you provide. So in a quick demo, let me go to the test data section. And over here, we have a new feature called AI data table generator. In this case, I can ask Virtuoso to create region. So it will take the request and automatically create this test data table. So you can also mention specific details as to how many rows of the data you want and other type of data as well. So you can include other data like phone number, then salaries, etc. So this is how you can automatically generate the test data table. Similarly, we have another feature that allows you to create the extensions. So this is the AI assistant for the extension generation. For example, I can ask the AI assistant to write a code to go back to previous browser tab, and this will generate a JavaScript based code for me, which I can use or directly save. And this can be used as an extension in order to extend Virtuoso's capability. And this extension can be called in the journey as a test step to perform this operation of doing window history back, which will basically be taking us to one level behind, or basically uh, perform a back operation to the previous URL. So this is how we can also generate the extensions using the AI assistant. Going back to the PPT, then we have the journey and failure summary generator. In this case, if we go back to the tool that we had created, okay, now here we have an option to summarize our journey. Now this is from a overall view, you need to read all these steps to understand what this journey is doing. But otherwise, if you need a summary, you can click this button and automatically you have an option to generate an AI summary, which will read all the test steps on your behalf and summarize what is happening in this journey. In this case, the purpose of the rocket shop journey is to do so and so. All of these details are mentioned here, and I can save the changes. Similarly, you also have an option to perform or summarize the failure reason in case there is a failure in your test step. So in the interest of time, I guess that would be it. So let us switch to the next slide, which is uh, about the Virtuoso Mastery Enablement webinar series. Now, this was the first enablement webinar for the series, and this was on test authoring with natural language programming, the very foundational level uh, topics. Next would be on 25th of April uh, on Virtuoso's uh, Virtuoso's test execution option. I request all the participants to stay tuned uh, on the channels where you have received the registration details from. We'll soon post, or we'll soon uh, start the registrations for the subsequent or the next session as well. And as you can see, we have various other sessions lined up for the entire year. That would be followed by data-driven testing, then extensions library, how you can create these extensions and use them, then how you can automate API tests, then how you can do advanced API test automation. Then that would be followed by various automation hacks within Virtuoso to automate generic use cases and few edge cases as well. Then there would be a session on test automation best practices, followed by building extensions in Virtuoso. Now, this session would be leveraging the current library or existing library of extension. but this would be how you can build these extensions on your own. And the last session for the year would be on integrating Virtuoso with third-party applications. So all the registrations would be opened 1 month or 3 weeks prior to the webinar start date. So I request all the participants, you can take the screenshot of the screen and you can stay tuned and register for these webinars from our website as well. We'll be posting these or opening the registrations on virtuoso.qa/webinar. I request all the participants to save this URL and stay tuned on this page. And we'll also post this on LinkedIn, so you can also get these updates from there. So that is it from my side for today. I hope you enjoyed the session and got to learn something new. Please let us know your feedback. How was the session in the chat section? And let me see if we have some questions to accommodate. I will stop sharing now, and we can just see if we can take some questions. I'll just quickly check the chat section.
Yes, Abhijit. There were a lot of questions which we tried to answer. There is a question from Ahmed Al Sakli. He asks, is it possible to import steps from a CSV file to the journey?
It is okay, not from a CSV file, but you can write the test steps in a notepad file and simply copy paste it in Virtuoso. Now, for an example, let me just do one thing. We'll write two steps in a notepad file.
Are you sharing a screen, Abhijit?
I'll share it in a while.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen now. Now, what I can do is I can write these steps directly in Notepad based on the NLP syntax. This. So these are the three steps. As soon as I copy them, I do have an option to add a step and I can quickly paste them and automatically these steps would be created in Virtuoso as well. Now, another thing that you can do is you can also copy paste the entire journey and paste it here. That is also another thing that you can do. More details would be shared in the subsequent session. So just on any other questions that we can accommodate?
Uh, we have already overshooted, but let me
I can just quickly check the Q&A and see if there are some common questions.
so there were a lot of questions. We tried to answer them in the chat section, in the Q&A section only.
There is someone asking for the recording. You'll be receiving more details about the recording in the following emails. And there are some questions on the Virtuoso existing customers. You can visit our website virtuoso.qa for more details. Then
I have just pasted some few information on the chat section here regarding webinar recording link. So in short, the link that you use to join today's session will automatically become the on-demand webinar link for this particular session. So the Zoom link which you use to join this session, the same link you can use when this webinar ends, and probably 1 hour later, that same link will become the recording link of this particular session. Okay. So you'll also receive an email via Zoom tomorrow on the recording link as also. I've also pasted two links on the chat section. I'll request you all to like bookmark it or copy paste it and save it yourself. These are links to the Virtuoso training library where you will be able to access all the training courses and the videos we are creating on our learning for learning Virtuoso. You will get it via training.virtuoso.qa. And if you want to do your hands-on on Virtuoso, you can click on the free trial link. it will give you a 14-day trial access to the Virtuoso platform. So go through these chat posts that I have just made few minutes back. I think that was it, Abhijit. I think we are good to close.
Yes, yes. So thank you all once again for joining this session. I hope you all liked it. Let us know in the chat section. Have a great
Yeah,
evening ahead. Thank you.
Zoom has
Bye-bye.
some reactions button. Friends, if you like the session, you can use the reactions tab on the Zoom panel and show us your feedback. You can just, and we'll be just closing the session very soon.